Hello, everybody. This is Jennifer Schaus, and thanks for joining us in our Webinar Wednesday series. Today is a special day. We did an extra two webinars on GSA schedule since we missed last week due to the Independence Day holiday. So thanks for joining us. All of our webinars are complimentary. They are all recorded. You can find all of today's recordings on our YouTube channel as well as our website. On our website, they are all segmented by the topic. In the interest of time, we do not take questions. So if you do have questions about today's topic, certainly contact us directly. Contact information will be on the last slide. We do offer newsletter and webinar advertising. You can contact Mallory Flowers for more information. We do have some summer discounts and specials. Our newsletter reaches about 15,000 plus government and government contractor subscribers. A little bit about us. We provide professional services for government contractors. This includes GSA schedule services, 8A certification, proposal writing, and some of the other services listed here. As a special note, we are offering a GSA schedule class. This is in person. It's in the DC metropolitan area. It will be held in Northern Virginia on August 6th. This is in partnership with the Small Business Development Center. SBDCs are located throughout the country and offer a variety of training classes, mentorship, and matchmaking programs for government contractors. If you're looking for an SBDC near you, go to our website under the resources section and select by location. And we have every state's SBDC, PTEC, and SCORE office listed. Those can all be valuable resources to you. A little bit about my background on this slide. And more importantly, let's just talk about general GSA schedule compliance basics. So this is applicable for companies that are either trying to get onto the schedule or that currently maintain a schedule. So we're going to kind of cover both of those topics in one loop today. Before we dig into that, I just want to go through really what a schedule is and is not. It is one of many, many, many ways that the government can purchase from you. It is absolutely not required, which then makes it simply a marketing tool. It's one of many ways the government can get to you. The government purchases through full and open competition, through set-asides, meaning they've set the contract aside for women-owned, veteran-owned, hub zone, 8A, or some other set-aside. They can do it through sole source. They can do it through OTAs, other transaction authorities. They can purchase through simplified acquisition, through agency-wide vehicles. So make sure that you know who your customer is and how they prefer to purchase before you decide to get onto one of these contract vehicles, particularly a GSA schedule, which will limit you because most of it is based on your lowest prices. So if you get locked into a schedule, you're going to have to ensure that that you're still going to be profitable, and knowing that basically you're not allowed to give anybody else a rate lower than your GSA rate outside of your schedule. Initially, it's a 5-year contract with 3 5-year renewable periods. So in essence, it's a 20-year contract. That's assuming that you meet all the terms, conditions, and go through all of the renewals successfully. You must offer GSA better than your lowest price. And how are you going to then additionally ensure that this is in your best interest? Well, if you're selling services, you want to go to the calc.gsa.gov site. That's where you can go in and plug in systems engineer, program manager, project manager, 5 years of experience, bachelor's degree, master's degree, whatever you have down as your minimum requirements, and ensure that your rates are in sync with the other schedule holders. If your rates are a lot higher, GSA is not going to let you on at those rates. They're going to bump you down so that you are compatible with other vendors on the schedule. More than half the schedule holders, and there's 18,000 of them out there, have 0 sales. So you've got about 9,000 plus companies with 0 sales through their schedule. Now they may have a $5 million contract with the Navy, but if it's not going through their schedule, then it doesn't count. And if that is the result, if you haven't brought in the $25,000 per year through your schedule, then GSA will bump you off the schedule or revoke your contract. Back to pricing real quick. I did mention the GSA rates are a price ceiling or a not to exceed rate. So as you bid for work through your schedule, your rates through your schedule will actually be lower. the schedules program will say the solicitations are open and rolling RFPs, meaning that those solicitations will sometimes go through changes. It's a living, breathing document. When they go through changes, these are either going to be new requirements that you need to accept if you're already on the schedule, or if you're trying to get onto the schedule, it could be new hoops that you need to jump through. So just keep that in mind if you're trying to put together a compliant proposal. Your company decides in January to embark on the GSA proposal, but by the time you actually get down to filling out the paperwork in a serious mode, it's August. Well, that schedule has probably had a change or two. Maybe not, but you want to make sure that you're staying abreast of all the new forms and new hoops that you need to jump through for GSA. Okay, so pre-award. Basically what I've covered here are really the pitfalls, the common errors that companies come to us after they've tried to do it themselves and they got rejected because they did not submit a compliant proposal. So they can be missing items, including they don't have invoices for each of their products or labor categories, forgot to include the contracts for the past performance justification. You're going to need to submit your open ratings receipt, which is going to show who completes the customer survey, the anonymous customer survey that's required. The people that are on that receipt need to be the people that are in your project experiences. There's other required documentation that sometimes companies fail to submit, either because they did not notice that the solicitation went through an update or a refresh. So again, keep track of that. Make a compliance matrix so that you are staying abreast of all the changes. Additional pitfalls include on the proposal some expired items. Again, maybe you're referencing an old solicitation number. Your digital certificate is expired, and now you can't submit the proposal, or it expires after you submit the proposal and you're not able to go in and upload additional documents or sign the actual contract. Maybe your open ratings report is 12 months expired. Same thing with the readiness assessment and the pathway to success. Your invoices maybe are too old. So again, you want to make sure that everything is current. And so we've got some remedies here. So if you put together a compliance matrix specifically for the schedule, monitoring the solicitation for updates, having due dates on each of the documents, who's kind of the main point of contact in charge of each document or each section of the proposal, the administrative, the technical, and the pricing. This can be a good way to keep things compliant and also competitive. And then post-award, now you're on the schedule and you're out there trying to sell products or services through your schedule. How do you then stay compliant? Well, the marketing piece, you need to, this isn't really a requirement, but it's highly suggested that you put the GSA logo on your website, in your email auto signature, your capability statement, other marketing materials, business cards, that sort of thing. You really want to tell the world that you do have this schedule because the clock is ticking. You're going to need to get 25K through your schedule. Doesn't sound like a lot, but remember 63% have zero sales through their schedule. Now, the real compliance comes with the industrial funding fee, that 0.75%, reporting through TDR, the transactional data reporting. You want to make sure you've got enough folks from your company that are registered in GSA eBuy, and that's going to push out the RFPs and RFQs to your company that are specific to that SIN number or SIN numbers in the event that you've got multiple SIN numbers. Maybe somebody's on vacation and you've only got that one person in there, and you could be missing some big opportunities. So I highly suggest having multiple contacts in GSA eBuy. Ensuring that your price list is current. A lot of times companies go through renewals and then they forget to upload a current price list. Digital certificates. These take about a couple days to get to really secure one. It's going to cost you about $200. I highly suggest getting the 3-year digital certificate if in fact that is still being offered. You'll pay a little bit more for it, but in the long run, it's wise to have that because you really don't want to go through trying to get this year after year. You've got to complete some forms, get them authorized, send them off to a place that will process them, and then they will send you a link that you download, and the certificate resides on your computer. But you probably want to have a couple folks within your organization with that digital certificate or with a digital certificate, particularly C-level executives, the salespeople, maybe some finance folks that would be perhaps submitting modifications. And obviously, if you hire an outside consultant, we would certainly have the digital certificate. Make sure you've got a couple authorized negotiators. If it's only a consulting firm and or only one person within your company, and maybe that person leaves and they leave on bad terms, then you're stuck. How are you going to get back into your contract? And that's going to take a big effort, and it's really good, again, to have backup folks and ensure that the authorized negotiators all have digital certificates. Some other pitfalls here are on modifications. Companies sometimes fail to accept the MAS mods, and the MAS mods, MAS, are the GSA initiated modifications, meaning the solicitation went through an update or there's a new term and condition that you need to accept. You'll receive an email notification from GSA about that. It'll usually have a PIN number in it. Go through a series of prompts on the Vendor Support Center, VSC, Vendor Support Center, vsc.gsa.gov, and you'll accept those. You can actually go into that Vendor Support Center, plug in your contract number, or for that matter, anybody's contract number, and see if they are compliant or not, or see if you are compliant or not. Not sure why you'd want to check on anyone else unless you're just checking on competition, but you also want to, again, make sure that all of your pricing mods and that related docs, that you have those in some sort of shared file within the company, and then you've got the SF30s, which are the GSA forms that are generated after your mod has been accepted. So with the updated pricing, what I'm talking about there is if you have a GSA schedule that's based on a commercial price list, at the end of every 12 years, you can make a modification, sending GSA the appropriate paperwork to then increase your GSA rate. If you do that, obviously, then you submit a modification once every 12 months. And you want to make sure that you keep that paperwork and the effective date of those rates so that your accounting folks can ensure that they are charging the right prices, and the sales folks that they are quoting the right prices to the potential customers. Now, if your price list is based on market rates, then those are typically negotiated out for the period of the contract, either 5 or the 20 years are most common as far as what we see. And again, you want to make sure that your accounting folks know that, hey, here's the date that those rates go into effect. And so in the instances where you do need to make a modification, you want to make sure that those SF30s are all in one spot, particularly for any sort of audits that GSA may be conducting, and internal audits that you should be conducting as well. Your accounting and finance people need to know which items or services or labor categories are your GSA versus non-GSA. And you may have some invoices that maybe it has 10 line items on it or 10 labor categories. 8 of them are GSA, 2 are not. Well, the industrial funding fee is only going to be paid on the GSA items. So make sure there is something on the invoice and in the accounting system to code that certain labor categories are GSA or not GSA. And that's certainly allowed. Not everything on the invoice needs to be GSA schedule. You just need to indicate which is which. If you have negotiated with GSA any discounts, any prompt payments, you want to ensure that those are not only on your quotation sheets, but also on your invoices, and they will check for those sort of things. And just make sure you're generally monitoring rates, again, based on your price increase effective dates to make sure that the customer is being charged the appropriate rate. Okay, and so some remedies or kind of best practices for these post-award compliance hiccups. Just having standard policies and processes in place, whether it's a weekly meeting, a monthly meeting, some sort of quality control, checks and balances, processes that when a GSA schedule sale happens within our company, what does that look like? What is the process? Where does, even originating with the sales rep, where does he or she get the GSA rate from? Is everybody working off of that same document? Should he or she, the sales rep, get that sale? What does the accounting department do? How do they reconcile, well, the sales rep quoted $27,000, but I show a GSA rate of, I don't know, $28,000. So, okay, we gave them a $1,000 discount. Is that allowed? And are we putting on the invoice any prompt payments, any volume discounts, or maybe that was a volume discount? So ensuring that everybody, again, is kind of working from the same page, referencing the GSA schedule number on your invoices and on your quote sheets. And all of these reporting requirements are ever changing, particularly with GSA consolidating schedules and the industrial funding fee and category management, everything else related to just government acquisition and procurement. So some best practices would be staying abreast of these changes through just going into the GSA .gov website and signing up for their newsletters and alerts. Going on to FedBizOps, finding your schedule solicitation and getting alerted to any new updates they may make. GSA has a website, Interact, which is pretty good about sending out their events and newsletters and changes that are being made to GSA schedule, RFI, and GSA accepting comments on the consolidation and various pieces of information. So I highly encourage you to visit the Interact site. I believe it's gsa.interact.gov, or you Google for it, I'm sure you'll find it. And then GSA also hosts a lot of webinars that are helpful. So take advantage of those. It's in their best interest for you to do business through your schedule. And we've got the note there that basically all of the schedules are being consolidated into one. So your offering will basically still just have the SIN number that you have, and this I think will be a benefit to vendors simply because if you wanted to go after another SIN that was currently, let's say, on a different schedule, that's a lot of paperwork to undertake, a lot of time, effort, and resources versus, let's say, in a new scenario or an updated scenario with everything merged. The only thing you would be doing is not pursuing a new schedule, but just a new SIN, which is a lot less paperwork and hopefully less stringent. So on that note, we will end here. We do have several other webinars on compliance, on GSA compliance that we did earlier in the day. All of these will be posted on our website and on our YouTube channel, and we hope that these were helpful for you. If you have specific questions about GSA schedules or any other federal contracting services, you can reach us at the email or the phone number listed here. Thanks, everybody, and enjoy the rest of your day.